Like, I don't
I
repeat
wouldn't
all
want to
that.
miss a word you said, dude.
Thank you.
So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, cheating. I mean, did I miss something? I mean, can you think of anything that I didn't?
What about your tour, particularly?
Or
I mean,
anything
were there
in
any
general.
interest? I mean, anything that jumped out at you from the tour that, like, were really? I mean, anecdotal, cool experiences that you had. Maybe that would be interesting for a blog post.
One of the things that were really cool, and I haven't talked to my team about it yet, so they might really hate the idea. Yeah, because I get these crazy
This
ideas.
is the good stuff.
I was at a classroom. Mr. Burns is his name.
Mr. Burns.
Yes, the astronomy teacher. You can look him up at King George High School. It's astronomy class. Well, it was literally out of this world. No pun intended.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Go
sure.
in.
No pun intended.
The walls are painted. All these lights. His lighting system. He has these 3 different lighting systems in there. All the different, stars and stuff you see in astronomy. It was just fascinating. This classroom. It was like so. They gave me an idea. Is that what if our office could maybe facilitate this? Is that we did some kind of a video recording, and showcase classrooms around the state.
Yeah, that'd be
Go
really cool.
in, do a little profile, like a video, and interview the teacher and see what the classroom looks like, and actually put it on our website and put it on social media.
That's a really good idea.
So that was an idea I had a couple of days ago when I was at school.
It's not so bad.
It's not so bad. What do you think?
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant.
I think it's really cool.
It was really cool.
Well,
No, I like that. I mean, I mean, as you go around, if you see something interesting, it's the way our social media works, I mean, put it up on Facebook, put it up on Instagram.
So I have pictures
put
of
it
it,
up
right? I
on-
have pictures here, but the pictures don't really do it justice. You really have to record.
Right,
it.
that's true.
So I'm gonna do like, I was thinking.
But
like,
interviewing people too, brief, short,
because pictures don't do it. Like I have a picture here, but it doesn't really tell the whole story. You really have to do a video of it. It says, am I doing a video, and then you can like share that. Somehow.
I like that.
With everyone. So I've seen a great astronomy class. My buddy Chuck, who teaches math, he spent about 14 grand of his own money, and his math classroom is out of this world. I mean, it is amazing. In Winchester, we saw the Spanish immersion program at an elementary school that students from pre-K to 12 are in, where preschool students learn the entire SOLs, the curriculum in Spanish one day, and then English another day.
Yeah, we have in Arlington, we have La Escuela K.
Yes. So they looked at the Arlington model and then applied it there. So that was really cool.
Oh, they did that off of Arlington?
They said they visited Arlington.
Okay.
And I think only 3 school divisions have fully experimented with it.
Yeah.
Arlington being one of them. Maybe it's Harrisonburg's the other one, but Winchester.
And the other cool thing is now in that grade level, there's only 3 students in the rising class who are, their families have expressed that they don't want to be a part of the program, and now they don't know what to do with those students because an entire grade level wants immersion, and they're like, well, we might have to like send them to a different school because now this is what the school is. But I think less to do with the families who have opted out for whatever reason, right? Like it may be just too much for their children to be learning 2 different languages at a certain age, right? It's not like pointing the finger, but it's just really cool that it's been absorbed and like, because this wasn't like, you don't lottery in, it's just a homeschool for a bunch of people.
Right.
And everyone's all about it,
Yeah,
it's
that's
really
great.
cool to
It's
see
good
it.
stuff. I think learning languages at a young age, that's the way to do it.
Imperative.
One of my favorite visits was with Holly and I. Went to a school called Warwick High School in Newport News, and the juniors greeted us. So we go in, and they were clapping. They're just clappers, and they were in lab coats. And they took us to the health sciences lab. So they have a great health sciences lab, and these are juniors, and it's a very diverse school. It's economically diverse.
Yeah.
And racial and ethnically diverse, and I found it to be a great model. And they have created a good partnership with internships. They place, so the program helps students place them at the different health clinics or the hospital. It's a great program, and even the student population itself was very diverse. And they actually had a doctor, an OBGYN, who actually came and started teaching them. They got credential and teaching that course. So actually folks from the field coming in,
that's good.
teaching the course, and they've really invested in their health sciences program. So that was something really, really cool.
So you've seen a lot of good stuff. I mean, what about
No.
anything really just you couldn't believe like how bad it was or anything?
Well, teachers and students are doing great, even in challenging situations like Ayler Middle. Were you at Ayler Middle with me? So that school is really, really old. It's
Where's
in
that?
Frederick County. So very, very old. But despite being in a very old building, they are students are performing well. Teachers are there. We met some phenomenal students and phenomenal teachers. So they really, really work hard. I mean, and my thing is that if we give them more support, then they'll do even better, right? So that's the thing is that oftentimes, schools will perform really well because we've only measured them by one standard, which is assessments, which is unfortunate. So they'll perform to expectations. And they said, well, if you're performing to expectations, why do we need to pay teachers more? Why do we need to invest more in buildings if you're already doing that? But imagine if you provided more support, they would even go further and continue to exceed expectations and actually go to levels that be unimaginable, right? So I haven't seen anything like, again, like I haven't, everywhere I go, teachers are passionate, school administrators are passionate.
Right.
Children are learning.
I've heard like some horror stories about just schools that are run down and rat infested and whatever, and I mean like Paul Goldman, I don't know if you know that guy, but he's kind of a weird dude, but whatever, in Richmond, but he is pushing for the right thing to modernize these facilities. So some of them are really run down.
They are run down.
And have you seen like some really
Yes, absolutely. I've been to about 7 or 8 different Richmond schools. Been everywhere. I mean, I can pull up the calendar. They'll give me remind of where we have been. I mean, it's just a lot. There's a lot of infrastructure issues.
The horror issues, if you can imagine it, it's a school somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some of them are really, in kind of bad shape. But I mean, that probably, how much does that affect the ability of students to learn when the school
it is tough, right?
Yeah. And I mean, we used to have one room, schoolhouses, I guess, and kids learn. But like, I mean, it just seems like it would affect. I don't know. Is there any quantifiable information on that? Like, if the school is, beautiful and modern, do students actually learn better in that environment? I mean, you'd think so intuitively, but I don't know. I mean, like
there's it's a combination of multiple things. I mean, first
and it's the community they come from ultimately, really, and the family and everything.
We want to invest in our capital improvement plans. We want to invest in our technology. And most school divisions you talk to, they have a capital improvement plan. They have a technology improvement plan, which is great. But I rarely hear about an employee morale improvement plan. So the number one priority should be in the human capital, in people, in teachers, in staff, school counselors. That's the thing is Board of Education has put out, these recommendations where the school counselor ratio should be 1 to 250, which is the American School Counselor Association recommends that. So that's important. That's important.
What is it now?
1 to 350 for high school and 1 to 500 for elementary school. I don't remember what it is for middle school. I can look it up.
So it's not even really too close to that.
And some of the school divisions, some of the schools actually struggle with that. I was at a school where an elementary school, and I don't want to embarrass the school, so I'm not going to mention the name. But the school counselors ratio, it was one school counselor for 784 students, elementary school.
And this issue has come up more in the aftermath of the Parkland shootings, that we need more mental health counselors and whatever in the schools.
Trauma-informed education and trauma-informed mental health, the social emotional learning is very critical.
Right. And identifying kids that, in that case, identifying kids who might, take a gun into the school and whatever. But, I mean, that's an extreme case. But
I think that's an extreme case. The student, really where it starts is the students that really just need help to make it through the day emotionally.
Right.
Not every child that has anxiety or displays this extra need for emotional support is going to go and do something tragic.
No, of course not. 99.99 or whatever percent.
Right, are going to do that, but it needs to be that all children are taught how to. I'd love a water. Thank you.
I'm fine. Thank you.
I was going to tag into this and say that you started out talking about pre-K and kindergarten, and it's true that kindergarten wasn't always the case, but, abroad it was because it started in Germany. That's beside the case.
That's the
They were
German,
half
the
day.
German name for it. Yeah.
They had, like, when I was growing up, it was a half day when my brother went to school, and I'm under 30, put it that way. And so the irony of why I think, and this is totally personal, of why we require full day kindergarten is because of the standards, because of the academic expectations for students.
Yeah.
And so there's been a trickle down effect of if you need to be college
Right.
ready and have all these expectations by graduation of 12th grade, guess what it does?
Right.
As you say, okay, 11th graders need to then know how to pre-calc, or
Right.
AP English in order to be able to do the humanities courses senior year. That backs up all the way to 5 years old. And so where a child could have gone to school half day or maybe done preschool and been pretty okay as they entered a half day kindergarten program or first grade, they knew their letter sounds, their letters, maybe how to read a couple easy readers, they were going to be okay. It's not the reality anymore because of our expectations of the bar.
You think that's good? A good thing overall, or
It's
is
reality.
That, I guess. Well, yeah, but it's reality based on the policies we've adopted to some extent. Like SOLs and stuff like that.
Well, and
yeah, I mean,
the tough part of it is then the expectation for a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old then is no longer some of these really basic social emotional skills that were
Right.
kind of baseline because they were spending half the day in a playtime situation that was unstructured at home or at the playground or the daycare. And now they're in very highly structured classrooms where they're expected to be kind of on academically a majority of the day.
and that's probably hard. That's hard for kids who ADD or a lot of different things. They just can't sit for like long period and be focused like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
so we're kind of undoing that, I think, when we're talking about the social emotional learning.
And we saw
a lot of different learning styles too.
And we saw a great at the Arlington's CT Center. We saw that great model where you have that alternative form of education. Because the traditional model is not suitable for every, and the way we educate our kids, it's changing. We're modernizing. That's the thing is. I think there'll be a lot of work done. But region by region, I'll give you one good nugget that we saw from each region. Some Southwest Virginia. One thing that I was impressed with is United Way has a very good presence there, where they have taken the business and the education committee and a lot of the nonprofits and really getting them to work together. So they have a very strong presence
Good.
in the Southwest Virginia. In Southside, in Mecklenburg, they're working really hard. They're trying to combine the two high schools to have an innovation center, like a high school center. It's going to be state of the art. So they're trying to build it near Microsoft. And so they can be internship partnership. That Microsoft is playing a big role at their current CTE center. Microsoft already provides those the cloud server, the big server, that stores all the information. I saw them physically, and I mean it was impressive. So Microsoft has been a good partner for them because they have a big data center. It's not the biggest yet in in America, but it will be soon because the pods are growing. And I actually went to the Microsoft facility to drove past it to see, and that the pods are continuing to grow, and they'll add more and more jobs there. So that's something really well. In Hampton Roads, we have a lot of great work being done. Wraparound services are really well. But Hampton Roads High School, they have this academy program. Their superintendent has done a phenomenal job with the academy program they have. This the home of the Crabbers, Hampton High School Crabbers. So there's a lot of energy at that school, and just a lot of good things happening there. And even the Eastern Shore, it is economically a lot of people are leaving, and because it's it's not economically, it's kind of depressed, but I mean to revive it. But in the school system still, there are good things happening. They have good communities really engaged. I saw a lot of volunteers at the schools show up. I haven't been to Virginia Beach yet. The Shenandoah Valley, there's a great, good partnership with the business community and with the education community. They're doing a lot of proactive stuff, especially in CTE. They have a lot of internship programs. So, in the academies. And even in Petersburg, right? So I want to talk about Petersburg for a minute because oftentimes a lot of people beat up on Petersburg because they haven't, according to expectations, they haven't performed at a certain level, right? But right now in Petersburg, there are a lot of community stakeholders that have got engaged the last few years. And I went to a meeting with the superintendent there, and there are a lot of different groups, nonprofits, that are highly engaged, and we're going to see a lot of good things. And I went to the Petersburg High School, talked to some of the students, and like there's a lot of talent there. So, the thing is that a lot of talent like often leaves and everything, and the thing is like how can we get them to come back so they can invest in the city. So, the thing is that we're everywhere there's something positive to talk about. There hasn't been a single region where I went that there was no takeaway. There was always a positive takeaway. And as a state, what our goal is to really make sure we support those positives and encourage those things that are really working well, and
accentuate the positive, eliminate them.
Exactly. That's the approach. We have to focus on the positives because there's so much negative energy that's been injected over the last few decades into the field of education. And I know that I'm not naive that in 3 or 4 years we're not going to solve like all the problems, but I think our approach from really taking these practices and these models and elevating those positive ones and continue to focus on that, I really truly believe that that's the way to go.
Do you feel like there was good work done in previous administrations here in Virginia?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel like you're building on stuff, or you're starting? Or you feel like it's like, oh God, I gotta start over?
Look, we beat up our education system a lot. Can we invest more in it? Yes, but it is I've been to a lot of countries, as you know, and seen a lot of different things. There is a lot of great work happening. We have some of the best schools in the world. We also have some of the best teachers in the world, the best universities in the world. So we shouldn't beat up on ourselves. I mean, there has been a lot of good things.
Right, but you feel like the previous administrations have, like in the education area, have done good.
They've done good. Yes, absolutely. Governor McAuliffe's administration did phenomenal work. I mean, you look at the budget now with Medicaid expansion. It goes through. I mean, he was very bold in his approach, and Governor Northam will continue that work and continue to invest in education and be even bolder. So that's our hopes. And
it is interesting in Virginia. Of course, you can't run for a second term for governor, so you have 4 years.
You have 4 years.
And so I just wonder about the continuity sometimes too, because there's no. Yeah, you can't.
That's not under our control.
Serve for 2 terms, let alone 3 or whatever.
But that's why we have a sense of urgency. We have a sense of urgency. We hear that all the time from our boss that, what are y'all working on now? There is a sense of urgency, so we want to accomplish as much as we can.
I guess you have some continuity, more continuity, because we've gone from a Democratic administration to another
which has been really helpful.
And it was not just any old, it was McAuliffe's lieutenant governor.
Yes.
I guess if it had been Perriello or whatever, maybe it would have been, I don't know, maybe more turnover.
Yeah,
or
that's
whatever,
why we're growing, and we're moving in the right direction. So it's not all, we can't continue to beat up on our education system.
Yeah.
And focus on the positives, and we still have challenges.
How much does a company like Amazon, I mean, if you talk to like any people from Amazon or whatever, how much do they look at this, at what's going on in the education area?
They look at
I would think that would be
They do, because that's where the workforce is coming from. So they want to see, they're looking at the projections, and it's not just Amazon, it's any business.
Right, I mean, but they're just a high profile one now.
Yeah, they're studying the projections to see where because the biggest thing is workforce against that human capital. And does the state produce the jobs they need? So yes, to answer your question, they look at that.
Do you talk to these companies? I mean,
yes,
do they come and like they want to know what we're planning in education? We're thinking about coming to Virginia. Like, tell me about your.
It's either in that regard or just in the business community in general that are existing here. Like I've been to many chamber meetings, and this is what the business community in all different fields is asking. A big
workforce.
A highly producing.
What are they looking for? Like mostly, what do you hear they're looking for?
They're looking for credentialed, qualified individuals, at all levels.
Okay, so in all different areas.
All different areas, and that doesn't necessarily come with a 4-year degree. That's the misconception.
Right, no.
Because you can do like a 10-week course and get credentialed in an area and fill the job. Even when it comes to cybersecurity, there's different stackable, like there's different things, right? So if we have that stackable approach, whether it's nursing, whether it's cybersecurity, whatever it is, right? There are things have to be stackable. Even with teaching, if we get to that model, is that it's stackable, and you have more of a stackable teacher as master teachers versus in newcomers, and have more of a stackable structure. That that traditional model is just not working well, right? It's working. It's working. Okay, it's working better for somebody. But if you look at like these innovative practices, of it, it's how we. We've worked on the profile of a Virginia graduate, right? The Board of Education has done that. The next step would be to work on a Virginia profile of a teacher, and what does that look like, and of a school, and a school division, and a community. So kind of like, what is that? So that's that big philosophical shift that we have to have in our minds, and that gives more autonomy back to schools and teachers. Again, focuses more on application-based learning as opposed to just force-feeding information.
Right, rote
so all
memorization.
That's the next step. So again, I feel like we're moving in the right direction.
Well, it's only been 4 months, but yeah.
No, I'm saying is that Virginia as a state.
But Virginia, I was saying.
As a state, I think there's been a very smooth transition from past administrations. And again, I don't want to knock the folks who designed the SOL standards too. They've served a purpose for that time, and because there was an issue with accountability. But the thing is that we're at a time where we have to evolve and move to the next phase in education, right? So everything has its purpose and time. Now is a different time.
Where are we with Common Core at this point? That's a controversial thing among the right wingers, but which is funny because it was a Republican.
It doesn't have a presence in Virginia, yeah.
It's what?
It doesn't have a presence in Virginia. Like we're focused on the Every Student Succeed Act and Virginia's model. We have a way of doing things. We have been one of the leaders in the nation. Our education system is really awesome, in my opinion. And it has its challenges. It needs to get better and better. So we need to continue to be a model, and our goal is to be the best model for the nation.
How much, to what extent is the Trump administration impacting education in Virginia at this point? With I think it's a horrible administration, whatever. And Betsy DeVos is a disaster. But is this like hurting us here?
Well, states have a lot of control over what we do. I mean, of course, there are federal stuff, but I mean, again, like I just yesterday we signed, they approved our plan, that's us. So again, I think we have a lot of autonomy, a lot more control than we think we do, and our localities have a lot more control than they think that we do, and we want to encourage schools to be innovative in their thinking.
So you're saying the Trump administration isn't really able to hurt us that much? Because we have a lot of autonomy.
We have a lot more control.
What could they do to us?
Nothing. I mean, I don't
really?
know. Well, I mean,
because Betsy DeVos has been so
I don't like focusing.
She would say
on
demonized, but
I don't like focusing.
I would say for good reason.
I mean, these hypothetical, these, I guess I don't want to draw a picture of the alternate realities and these counterfacts.
Well, this is reality. This is reality. Right. They're the president. He's the president. That's the administration.
Yeah. So we're going to continue to focus on the positive. We'll deal with something if something were to happen later on.
But nothing's happened like that. That's bad. That's come from the.
I haven't seen anything.
The national level. That's been like, oh my God, nothing horrible.
I mean, can you think of anything?
I mean, if you have to rack your brain about it, I guess it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it just seems like there's been so much. I mean, every one of his cabinet officials has gotten flack for various things, but DeVos has been one of the top ones as in terms of been hostility towards her, and again, I think rightfully so. But whatever, the case may be. But I mean, you're saying it's not hurting that much. It's kind of interesting. Like, it's not hurting at all. You really?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I have to do more analysis. I guess that's something that I can't really talk about right now because I have to do more analysis to think about it carefully to see, okay, well, if there is a negative impact. But right now what I feel is that we do have a lot of control as a state on which direction we go into. And we want to encourage our localities to feel like that they have more control and flexibility. And we trust them, and we trust our school leaders, and we want to give that control back to the teachers as much as possible. So I want people to be able to take risks and try innovative things because I trust them. I really do, and the governor trusts them. We trust teachers. We trust our school leaders to try creative things. So does that? I mean, do you know?
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to get at what the relationship is between the federal level and the state level, and how that. Because I mean, in the Obama administration, I guess they had a good secretary, but whatever. I'm sure people disagreed with. But did they do good things for this? So now there's a bad administration.
They're federal programs.
How does this work?
They're federal programs. I mean, there's.
And they can change the incentives and disincentive structure in various
I haven't
ways.
seen any major shifts in funding streams. Federal funding streams of programs,
or maybe charter schools, or different things that they're pushing. I
haven't seen something dramatic.
I will say that he, as the state secretary, and we've said this, particularly me, as I've been coordinating a lot of the tour, either because people have requested, we have a request portal on the page. And I've tried to, there's places we really want to go. There's organizations that will do really incredible work, and they'll say, we'd really love for you to get to Arlington Career Center because they have a great presence with CIS, community and schools. They give backpacks of food to students who work full-time on the weekends, maybe have a child at home, that sort of thing.
CIS, you know what CIS stands for?
Communities and Schools.
Okay.
It's an organization that works in schools with the schools to support learners who support them in any way. They might get dentist appointments, they might get health care provided to students, and obviously they're supporting where schools cannot. Something that I've told a lot of schools, whether it's somewhere we've chosen to go, asked to come visit, Ayler Middle School, they asked us to come, we showed up, and this is what I said to them there actually, is we're not afraid to go into schools where the roof is falling in and there's snow that's coming in through the roof, or where the preschoolers are in trailers with no AC, But the highlight, I'm saying this, the highlight is that he's going there. And I think that sets a bar for people who are in the same way. Maybe Governor Northam was like, I didn't always have to work in a pretty hospital. Maybe I did work in the clinics sometimes, or I did, and I can't say that because I don't know that he did, but I would imagine that would be his mindset. That there are traditional schools with traditional teachers who are doing really innovative things and doing above and beyond the expectation to ensure that their students are getting not only the free and appropriate education that they are entitled to, but so much more. And that comes from Lee County to Virginia Beach to the tip of Northern Virginia in so many different forms. And those have to be highlighted and celebrated by him. Because otherwise nobody knows about them. And also, people think that those places where the roof is falling in, that not only is the school kind of awful, but everything inside of it is too.
Let me give you a good example from yesterday's visit. Braddock Elementary School, the principal Keisha Jackson, phenomenal.
In Fairfax or
in Fairfax? They have the best science scores of any school, any elementary school. In FCPS, they're very, very high, free and reduced population, very diverse. They're doing Spanish immersion. They have the two-way Spanish immersion program there. They have this advanced academics program there. She's really, really, dramatically improved the schools. The faculty population is very reflective of the student population, the diversity in it, and they're performing really well. But what's unfortunate is that I was talking to the principal, is that online reviews, by realtors or whatever different subjective website, those are outdated, and they rank the school low. But in reality, the school is performing much better than other elementary schools. So that's the thing, is that sometimes the challenge that school administrators have is that, hey, we've really improved and made so much progress, and we're not what we were 5-6 years ago. But again, these subjective reviews online are really hurting us, because parents are like, well, I don't want to send my, but if you come and look at it, not physically. So that's the thing, is they are, when you say, well, students with special needs can't perform, or students with, ELL students can't perform, but they are doing really well, doing much better than a lot of other students, because they have a great setting, great environment, great leadership, great teachers and staff. So I don't need to reset that.
In a second, yeah.
Yeah.
It's running out.
Or
But,
yeah.